Lata 110.
122. Ano mo dapat? Nanay, tech.
Kamu kada yan.
Okay. Okay, we have encountered this machine before sa IR. So we have mentioned that this machine is for UVR IR. So how to adjust this machine? So if you want to be UVR, so you just this is the sun. And then after that, you turn this knob, turn it on. And after that, you press this start. For 6 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and release. So it can now produce this UVR. Siya. Okay, baka naman mo adjust anything. Okay. So with regards to the application, same na yaman siya sa IR, ang application. So you have to position the UVR lang. So we have to avoid yung position directly over sa area to be treated, especially kanina look at me. So imagine to place over yung mandaka, how injured yung patient here. So then ang having for your UVR is that there is certain dosage that you have to prescribe depending on the condition. Ano yun sa pagka sa lecture. So you have this E1, E2, E3, E4 na mentioned in Miss Babs. Yes! So these are what was original dosage or dose. So certain condition will have this certain dosage. So mas severe condition, so mas greater ang dosage. So what will have E4. So here, question is how to get this dosage. So we have there E1, E2, E3, E4. So Manisha, before you're going to start your treatment using your UVR, you have to do your skin test procedure. Okay, with regards to your skin test procedure, it is not like you have this hot and cold sensation in your test. This is another testing procedure to get or to note the E1 of the patient. E1 of the patient, say E1 of the patient that is a dosage we're in, it produces an erythemal reaction or erythema or hemorrhagia that would appear within 6 to 8 hours after exposure, and then it will disappear in erythema within 24 hours. So that's the characteristic of your E1. 6, 8, 6, 2, 4. Okay. So again, characteristic of an E1 is that the erythema will appear after 6 to 8 hours of exposure. Okay, after 6 to 8 hours after the exposure, may appear ang erythema, and then it will disappear within 24 hours. That's E1. E2 is, it would appear an erythema within 4 to 6 hours after exposure, and then it will disappear within 48 hours. Then E3 is that it would appear an erythema within 2 to 4 hours, and it will disappear within 72 hours. And then E4 will appear erythema again within 2 to 4 hours after exposure, and then will disappear erythema 72 hours or more than 72 hours. Ano yung napanan sa Miss Babs lecture? Mention characteristics sa E1 to E4. Okay. Question is how to get now this E1, E2, E3, E4. So Manisha, we're doing this skin test procedure to determine the E1 of the patient. So each patient will have different E1. So each one of us has different E1. So the Utah have E1. So with regards to your E1, um, I mean, how it is being expressed ang kanyang mga E1, E2, E3, E4. So, this would be expressed there is the duration and the distance, like 12 seconds at 12 inches. So, means 12 seconds, hindi mo siya i-apply with a distance of 12 inches. Ano siya for state sa E1. Okay. So, where to get this, where to apply the skin test procedure as a data. So it should be applied on the area wherein it has a normal skin. So normal, presence of the normal skins. Okay, one criteria. And it should be also in the core of area wherein the skin would encounter the least exposure to sunlight. Least exposure. Dili ka itong skin na sige nag-expose sa sunlight. So where are these areas which are having lesser instances where they are being exposed to sunlight? Those areas na whiter gani ang color sa inyo pa. Muna siya more less, muna siya ang area na less, encounters less exposure to sunlight. Anong area na puti-puti-on? Anong area na blago-blago or brown na siya? So, sige nag-expose sa sunlight. So, where are these areas? So, the polar aspect of the upper extremity, posterior aspect of the lower extremity, abdominal area, and the area which has the least exposure to sunlight, you can have it on the buttocks. Even you're in the beach, you tend to cover the buttocks. So, in case you're exposed to sunlight. Diba? Okay. Okay. So, again, where to apply this, choose to the area which has the least exposure to the sun. Okay. Or on the area which has a normal skin and it has the same area level of the affected part. Let's say, for example, ang affected area is on the dorsum, diri dapita. Diri ang affected area ba? So, pwede mo do your skin test procedure on the same side or same level area but on the opposite side. Pwede na siya. So, for example, mani siya affected, mani siya normal, so pwede rin ibuta sa skin test procedure on this side here. Basta normal ang skin condition and level sila at the same level. So, you cannot do nga, for example, they affected, you're going to do on the opposite side, but this sa shoulder niya perform ang skin test procedure. Pwede sa shoulder if you want, but more katong area na having least exposure to sunlight. Kasi rationally, just so makasabot ko sa rationally, why we choose the area which has the least exposure to sunlight. Just so makasabot ko ano siya? Each of the area in our body has a different degree of responding to the UVR or makaproduce sa erythema. If atog ka mo test sa area wherein mas darker, mas darker na siya, hindi na siya puti-on, that would indicate that that area has a longer exposure to sunlight. So, longer yung exposure to sunlight, what would you expect here? Ang resistance in mo skin to sunlight, magkaanam o ka-increase. As you have learned, mabitaw na siya white, katong area na gisiliga ko under sa sunlight. Later on, lagog na siya because it produces more of this melanin, brown siya, and it protects us from this sunlight. When siya, mas higher ng resistance to sunlight katong mga skin which are darker. And usually, skin becomes darker if you're always being exposed to sunlight. Manisha, if you're going to compare, those people are working under sa sunlight as compared to those people are always working and ay ato, mas puti yung na sige work under sa roof as compared to those people are working directly under sa sunlight. Mas dagong yun sila. And their skin, as they're being exposed to sunlight, will create certain protection. So when ang ilang skin, magkaan mo kawat, magkaan mo thicker, magkaan mo kabaga ilang skin. Ano siya kung magkaan mo kabaga yung skin, masabot na higher resistance to sunlight. So kung yan yung test ang yung skin test procedure to those area having higher resistance to skin, na ini-apply ninyo to that area wherein the skin has a lesser exposure to sunlight, tendency mag-overdosage ang imong dose to that area. Kaya ikan ka ng test sa katong skin which has higher resistance to sunlight. Yeah, dito yung basihan pag-apply to the skin which has a least exposure. So what do you expect with the skin having a least exposure to sunlight? I-apply nyo sa UVR, mag-overdose siya. Masubran yung dosage. So mana siya, you have to test with the skin having the least exposure to sunlight. And when you apply the dosage to the skin which has a higher resistance to sunlight, hindi ka siya mag-overdose. Here. Okay. So, how to do this skin test procedure? Okay, doing your skin test procedure, so you have to, you have to look first for the E1 of the machine. Lahi ang E1 of the patient as compared to E1 of the machine na. Kaya ang E1 of the machine, this is really the average or the duration where ilan na testingan to those different people and they get the average. Yes, E1 of the machine. Like for example, with this machine, the E1 there, E1 of the machine here, is equals to 3 minutes at 14 inches. So that's the E1 of the machine. So you have to get first E1 of the machine at 3 minutes at 14. Sabi na that when they tested exposing this plant to several group of people, they found that the average there na will produce an E1 but more or less at 3 minutes at 14 inches for several people. So may siya i-mention as a brochure sa machine na E1. Okay. After getting the E1 of the machine, you're going to ask the patient with regards to its reaction to sunlight. Like, ma'am, if you're being exposed to sunlight, what would be your reaction? Is it immediately mamuha ka? Or is it dugay pa ka mamuha? Or perhaps slightly taon-taon mamuha din ka? So you have to ask that to your patient. So discuss that later. So next, also ask if the patient is taking any sensitizing drug. Sensitizing drug. These are those drugs that further increases the sensation of the skin to UVR radiation, or ultraviolet radiation. So if ever the patient is taking sensitizing drug, then you have to reduce your dosage. So after asking that to your patient, so we can now start